He's got to send a Louisiana Divebomb. He's got a Louisiana Divebomb.
Come on, Reddick, you got this.
Pump it. Here's the pump and run. Go. Louisiana Divebomb.
Welcome back to another episode of the Louisiana Divebomb Podcast, episode 44. Sixth episode of the season. Glad you guys can tune in and listen or watch wherever you are. We're coming off a big weekend of racing from Las Vegas. All three series in NASCAR came and went through the 1.5 mile oval. Mile and a halves are usually the cream of the crop nowadays for NASCAR. So we'll dive into everything that happened, and we'll even touch up on F1 a little bit. The season began, and my oh my, what a chaotic race that was. But first things first, we got to get through the Cup Series, and I'm not going to lie, I was very shocked sorry, my phone's being weird. I was very shocked at what I witnessed on Sunday. It was a very interesting race. It seemed like it was going to be a regular Hendrick dominance with William Byron and Kyle Larson coming through. I mean, those were the guys to beat, but everyone was chasing after Christopher Bell. He was looking for his fourth straight win. The 20 was here and there throughout the race, but he wasn't really a contender. But I will say the amount of leaders and lead changes that we've had at Las Vegas, I think they broke the record. No, 32. They had 32 lead changes, but there were so many guys that led in double-digit figures. I mean, Kyle Larson for one, Byron for another, Daniel Suarez, Josh Berry, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric. Did Byron lead double digits? Logano did. Actually, yeah, he did. He barely did. But yeah, Logano, Larson, Cindric, Chastain, Byron, Suarez, Berry. That's a lot. And Tyler Reddick, too. Immovable. Damn. All right, so, my God, the amount of leaders we had were insane yesterday. It seemed like anyone could win. Bubba, Reddick, that's two right there. Logano, 3. Larson, Cindric, that's 5. Chastain, Byron, Suarez, Berry. I don't know if that's a record of some sort, but 9 different drivers in double-digit laps led. That's crazy. That just shows how dynamic the field was. I don't think they did anything different. They might have made a different tire change. I think the right front tire was a bit softer than it was in last year's races. So, anyway, let's dive right into it. Green flag pit stops occurred within the first 30 laps of the race, but then they were disrupted immediately from a yellow due to Chase Briscoe. So Briscoe came down pit road, and they did not tighten the left rear tire onto the car. So his tire came off, and the yellow came out, and that essentially thwarted the day at hand for Chase Briscoe. I'm not even sure where he finished from what I'm seeing here. Well, we'll figure that out later, but yeah, it was a miserable day for that team. Stage 1 winner. It had it up here. It was Austin Cindric. So Cindric won the first stage, and then immediately following that, we had another good little green flag run. Then we had a crash. Todd Gilliland got into Ricky Stenhouse, and that it just spun his car around to the outside. So yellow came out there. Then a little stint to end stage 2, which put drivers in a precarious spot because of tire wear. And if you use new tires now, you're going to be screwed at the end rather than putting scuffs on. So different guys had different strategy. So then we begin stage 3. Cody Ware crashes. Yellow comes out. Then the next restart. Oh, I completely skipped over the fact that Shea Van Gisbergen had a terrible day. He must have cut a tire like 3 or 4 or 5 times. I mean, it was bad for him. And then I completely skipped over this one because it just says tire. But in between stage 1 and stage 2, Kyle Busch, his tire came off. I don't know how that happens because they went through the pace laps fine, and Kyle Busch loses it, hits the outside wall, tire comes apart, like the carcass itself, and then the wheel well came off as well. So it was a terrible day for Kyle Busch. I think he finished back in the 30s, but it killed my parlay that I had. I had a masterful parlay Kyle Busch was the last leg of that. All he had to do was finish inside the top 10. He was right around there the whole day. And all of a sudden, just boop, lost the car, tire went up, and that was it for him, and that was it for my parlay. It was $5 to win about 120, so yeah, not good there for me. So SVG had a terrible day, so did Kyle Busch. If you had all 8s, you were looking up from the hole that you were digging yourself into. So stage 3 begins. We had the Cody Ware wreck, and then for some reason, we had a wild crash on the backstretch. I'm not sure why, but this all started when Suarez made a 3 wide going into turn 1 underneath Austin Cindric, and Cindric pinched him because he's like, no, you're just not going to do that. So he checked up from that, and it created this whole stack effect where they were 4 and 5 wide through 1 and 2. Completely isolated from the wreck itself. Stenhouse got spun by the 16 of Allmendinger, and then they're 4 wide coming up on the backstretch. Bell's all the way low. Blaney's in the middle. To his right is Gragson. And then to his right, I believe it's Bubba. So I guess Blaney just didn't know that there were 2 cars that was outside. And I mean, I don't blame them. They're stacked as close as can be. One small move and then creates a crash. And that's exactly what happened. Blaney went to the outside wall. Eric Jones was caught up in it. Austin Dillon got hit from behind as well. Mentioned Bubba was in it. Then we had an interesting run to the finish because some guys under that caution, they decided to pit. Why? Well, there's usually not a late race yellow at Las Vegas for some reason. And guys decided, you know what? We're going to pit now. We're going to top off on the fuel. Those were guys like Byron, Bubba. Not Bubba. Well, he pitted because he had damage, but you had Byron, you had Larson, you had Chastain, who took his last set of sticker tires. Everyone else took 2 or 4. Everyone else took 2, and they did a can of fuel just to make sure that they were able to go to the finish because they were planning on this race going green to the end. And for a while, it seemed like maybe Ross Chastain was in the best position because he was moving up through the field. He was the highest one that was possibly good to go. You had Bell up there as well, Larson, Reddick, I'm pretty sure. No, Reddick stayed out, so he was the leader for that period of time. And then the caution came out when Noah Gragson cut a tire in turn 2, and that changed everything because those that stayed out and were banking on a yellow to come out and save their day, that's exactly what happened. So the restart we had was Daniel frickin' Suarez and Josh Berry battling for the win at Las Vegas. And it seemed early on that restart that Byron was going to be able to get through and come away with the win. By the way, everyone pitted. So it was Berry, Suarez on that first row. Ryan Preece was up there now all of a sudden. Chastain didn't have any tires left, by the way. So Chastain had to put on a set of scuffs, and that kind of mangled his run to the finish. But everyone was on an even level playing field at that point. Even Michael McDowell, who started on pole, dropped to the back, came back to the front, to the back, to the front. It was a very interesting day for him. But it seemed early on in that opening portion of the restart that William Byron was just going to come up there and snag the win away because he was able to dice his way through. Then you get up to Ross Chastain. He's holding his ground in third, and then him and Byron are duking it out. And then for some reason, the more they battled, the more that the front 2 got away. And it was a good side-by-side battle. Suarez was giving it to Berry, and he just about had him clear. But then Suarez wiggled in 1 and 2. Berry takes an opportunity. They're side by side for a couple laps. And then the next thing you know, over in 3 and 4, Josh Berry clears himself from Daniel Suarez and never looked back. The Wood brothers, their 101st victory, and the first of many for Josh Berry. He gets it done at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. His first career Cup win. He's won a couple of times in the Xfinity Series in the past, but I mean, I said to myself going into the weekend when I'm deciding on who to look for in the race, I mean, you had Larson, you had Bell, you had Reddick, Byron, the usuals. And then you're looking towards the back where some guys are starting to stand out based off what they've accomplished throughout the season. I'll pull it up here from my website, huntersleepymedia.com. But I had some guys in the back that I was looking at to possibly make a charge to the front and pull off a good finish. I had Kyle Busch on there. That did not go well. I had Ross Chastain up there. Ross Chastain at top 5. If you bet on that, good on you. You won some money. The underdog that I had was Noah Gragson. So that was just for a top 10 pick. And for a while, it seemed like Gragson was going to get a top 10. Then that last run happened where he was backing off quite a bit. I didn't know if he was saving fuel or not. By either way, he got a tire. But I debated about putting Josh Berry in there, but I wanted to wait until Las Vegas happened because last week, Phoenix, kind of a short track. He's a short track racer. Okay. Look at a mile and a half, all right? If he does well on the mile and a half, then this is legit, okay? Because mile and a halfs, they're, like I said, they're the cream of the crop for the Cup Series. So Josh Berry this season, 37th, 25th, 26th, okay? Nothing to look at. Phoenix, he finished 4th, all right? It's like, okay, cool. So I didn't want to make sure it was a fluke until Vegas happened. Then Vegas happened. He was inside the top 10 virtually the entire time and was in the right place at the right time when that yellow came out. And holy cannoli, Josh Berry is a Cup Series winner. He gets it done in Sin City. Just coming up short is Daniel Suarez, his best finish of the season, in 2nd. And there were rumblings on social media about whether Daniel Suarez was going to make it past 2025 with Trackhouse or if he was going to get the boot. But if he keeps up putting finishes like this, he'll be in a good spot to eventually win and possibly save a seat. I don't know if that's a real issue right now. We're only 5 races into the season. Anything can happen. Ryan Preece finishes 3rd. That's his career best finish just in his 5th start with RFK. William Byron, as always, seems to finish inside or around the top 5. He finishes 4th. By the way, that was the only bet that I hit throughout the weekend. So, if you want to make some money on NASCAR, bet William Byron top 5. If it's plus money, hammer it. $20, $30, $40, $50. It does not matter. For some reason, William Byron just seems to always get inside the top 5. So, make of that what you will. 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a gambling problem. But he finishes 4th. Chastain finishes 5th. Good value there from a top 5 standpoint heading into the weekend. Austin Cindric surprised me. He finishes P6. I'm not going to lie. Even though Logano and Blaney have had success in the past, with Logano being the only one winning, I didn't expect the 2-car to be this good throughout the season. So, might be one to keep an eye on these mile and a halves if he's going to keep this up. Bowman finishes 7th. Allmendinger, great day for him. He finished 8th. So that's pretty much where he was the entire race. So, not much to say there. Kyle Larson, the car that led the most laps, did not win today. He finishes 9th. And by the way, this is interesting because throughout the weekend, 3 of the 4 races that were won across NASCAR and F1, they were won by drivers as the favorites heading in. We'll talk more on that in a little bit. Chase Elliott comes through with a top 10. Good finish for him. He was back at 21st for a good portion of the day. What really wasn't up front. Keselowski comes through in P11. And Christopher Bell is 12th. So 3 in a row. Cannot make it 4. So Bell back down to earth after the Cloud 9 high he was on the last 3 weeks. Chris Buescher finishes 13th. Justin Haley kind of lost in this race. Finishes 14th, so a solid finish for him. Logano finished back in 15th. The pole sitter, Michael McDowell, he did lead laps. He led some laps. He finished 16th. Briscoe rallied through for a 17th place finish after losing the tire very early on. Ricky Stenhouse, he had a solid day for the most part, but finishes down in 18th. After that spin, hard for him to get back through the field. Riley Herbst, solid finish for him in 19th. He struggled for a good bit, but then strategy fell right into his lap, and they were able to make the most of it and come home in P19. John Nemechek, P20, so not too bad of a finish. Ty Gibbs, 22nd. My, oh my. This 54 car has had some terrible luck over the last few weeks. So he had pit road penalties galore. He got spun out on pit road. He had speeding penalties. He had equipment over the... it was a bad race for that 54. Like I said, it's still early in the season. We're 5 races in. There's enough time for Joe Gibbs to turn this team around and get them in a winning spot. Mark my words, he will win a race this season. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle at first, not going to lie. Didn't expect to see him struggle this much, but patience, everybody, patience. Looking through, Tyler Reddick, he had a speeding penalty on that last pit stop, so that derailed his finish. He finished 24th. Denny Hamlin 25th. I couldn't even tell you how many pit road penalties we had. It was just absurd. I left something out about Bell that I'll catch back up with in a little bit. Eric Jones finished 27th. He had a good run for the most part, but then just fell off at the end with that wreck. Bubba finished 28th. Guys that did not finish were Noah Gragson, Shane Van Gisbergen, Ryan Blaney, and Cody Ware. So the thing that I wanted to talk about after this Cup race was Christopher Bell. So Bell's luck ran out under a set of pit stops. So he had a loose wheel, and his crew chief is screaming over the radio to pull into someone's pit box. And he just miraculously makes it to the 19's pit box. So then they tighten up the wheel, and he's good to go. But it's a penalty because it's outside the pit box, like whatever the terminology is. Basically, he got pinning outside the pit box because it was on the other end of pit road. I don't think I've ever seen that before, where they have the wherewithal to put their guy in a spot where they need to go to another team's pit box and then stay there. I've never seen that before, but it's 5,000 IQ play from Christopher Bell's crew chief and Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole, because that saved not only penalties, but it saved suspensions as well for the tire changer and the jackman for that 20 team, because that's what Chase Briscoe's team is going to have to go through. No jackman, no tire changer for 2 races, and they also had a 2-lap penalty to deal with. And same thing happened to Kyle Busch, even though it was out on the racetrack. So he was already 30 laps down at that point, so I don't understand why they need to give him another 2-lap penalty. I mean, they were in the garage. I mean, that's a big penalty enough, missing that much out. He finished a good bit laps down. He finished 37 laps down. Yeah, so the extra 2 laps, great job, NASCAR. We'll switch gears a little bit now. We'll go to F1, because usually I talk about the Xfinity series and the truck series after this, but F1 was fun. Managed to stay up and watch the entire thing from start to finish, thinking, okay, I got money on this race. It'll be done in about an hour or so, usually green flag, and then I'll go to bed. But that was not the case, because throughout the day, the support races all got suspended due to rain. So F3, F2, some other sports car series, it got cut short. So rain all of a sudden was in the forecast, even though in my opinion, I didn't expect rain, but maybe it was on the radar and guys were having to look at things differently. So going out on the warm-up lap, one of the 6 rookies in the field spun out in turn 2 on the formation lap, and that was Handjar from one of the Red Bull support teams. It was his first start, and he didn't even. I'm trying to look it up. I'm trying to look up his name. Handjar. It was one of the Red Bull support teams. He ended his day early, so he didn't make it to the formation grid. They had to wait about 15 minutes or so to clear the track and then do another formation lap, and then we were green. It was Lando on the pole. It was Piastri in second. Max Verstappen was in third. Verstappen almost took a 3-wide on lap 1 and had to back off after Lando blocked him. But then we had another wreck in which one of the other rookies now, Doohan from Alpine, I don't know. I don't really watch F1 because it's either A, on way too early in the morning and when I'm working, or B, NASCAR's on. I'd rather watch NASCAR. But that's just me. Anyway, Doohan from Alpine wrecked, I think a lap or 2 later. And then under yellow, Carlos Sainz crashed into the last turn. So 3 cars were out before first 5 laps of the race were done. So that showed you how difficult it was on track for these guys to maintain grip. But then for the most part, we got everything through A-OK for about the next 30 laps until Fernando Alonso lost control of his Aston Martin, hit the wall somewhere on the other end of the racetrack. I would say the backstretch, because that's kind of like a backstretch, but it's not really straight. There's a curve to it, but you get the point. So he pitted, and then everyone went from the intermediate wet tires to mediums or hard tires, and then over the radio they're telling their to race strategist or engineer or whatever, or team principal, I guess. They're telling their drivers, oh yeah, by the way, there's going to be class 2 to class 3 coming through in about 5-10 minutes. Like, what the hell does that mean? Class 2, class 3. They got different classes for what type of rain it is. Light sprinkle, and then I guess class 3 is a shower. Either way, they said it was going to affect the race for about 2 laps, and boy, oh boy, did it ever. So they got back going, and coming up on the penultimate turn, no, third to last turn, Lando Norris goes wide. Piastri goes wide as well. Lando's able to corral his car, and he immediately makes a B-dive for the pit lane. Meanwhile, Piastri's trying to hold on to his car. He loses control and spins out. So he's stuck in the grass. Verstappen takes over as the lead. Half the guys on the track come in and pit. Half the guys stay out. I mean, it's a matter of time for Piastri because his car was stuck in the grass. He's pulling in reverse, trying to get out, not to bring out a safety car. That would ruin everything for McLaren, would put Verstappen in the great spot, would put Lewis Hamilton in an even better spot in the podium. But he got out of the grass and he got through A-OK, and eventually the intermediates became the tire to have at that time. Track was wet, so you couldn't really do much. Rather than babying around, got to come in, put on the intermediates, and then finish the race out. So eventually that happened. Lando got back in the lead right before another rookie in F1 crash. Bortoletto from the Kick Sauber team, he crashed. Safety car was out. Liam Lawson also crashed out, I believe, during that time. So it was very hectic at that point. Then the yellow came out, or safety car, I should say. So safety car came back out. Everything was fine. Lewis Hamilton got screwed over because he went from finishing in the podium to finishing barely in the points out of that. That's how big that yellow came out, or safety car, whatever. So it was a sprint to the finish. Lando Norris, Max Verstappen. Verstappen was close, but not close enough to make a move to adjust the racing line that Lando was taking. It was a good finish nonetheless. A very intriguing F1 race for me, because I don't usually watch these anymore. Because usually most of the time in the past it'd be Verstappen. But then halfway through the season last year, or towards the end of it, it seemed like, all right, everybody else was winning. We had George Russell win. We had Lando win. We had Piastri win. Lewis Hamilton. Leclerc won. Carlos Sainz won. I mean, we had like a roulette of drivers win, except Sergio Perez, which he's out of F1, by the way. So, coming through, winning the first race of the season, now the championship favorite, Lando Norris wins, Verstappen second, and George Russell third on the podium. Earning points was this Andrea Kimi Antonelli guy, the one rookie. So he did spin out in the race, but he was the only one that the camera crew liked to cut to every 2 or 3 laps. And I got annoyed because I'm like, why are we cutting to him? There's nothing going on. The battle for the lead is much better than focusing on this guy who was running his 12th at the time. But somehow, someway, he was able to go through, worked his way all the way up into the top 5, made a move on 4th, but he had a 5-second penalty for an unsafe pit exit, which then got reversed. So he went from finishing in 5th to finishing in 4th. First race in F1 for the rookie. I felt like he should have gotten driver of the day. Instead, it went to Lando Norris. Alex Albon instead finishes 5th instead of finishing 4th because of that 5-second penalty getting removed in the Williams. So good for him. Lance Stroll, P6. Solid finish for him in the Aston Martin. Doesn't usually get points finishes too often. I do remember that. Nico Hülkenberg over on Kick Sauber. He finished 7th. 8th was Charles Leclerc for Ferrari. Piastri had a great move on the last lap to get around Lewis Hamilton for 9th. Hamilton down in 10th. So he scored points for his first race for Ferrari, but would have liked to get more. Just missing out on points was Pierre Gasly for Alpine, whatever. Yuki Tsunoda, I felt bad for. He kind of got screwed in that. He was running inside the top 6 for a majority of the race, and then that last shower came in and derailed everything. So he finished 12th. Esteban Ocon 13th, and Ollie Behrman 14th, the other rookie, for Haas, finishing 13th and 14th. Those that did not finish were Lawson from Red Bull, Bortoletto for Sauber, Kick whatever, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, Jack Doohan, I think that's his name. It just says J. I don't know. Doohan from Alpine and Hadjar from the other Red Bull support team finished in dead last. All right. So that was F1. It was fun. It was different. We'll touch up on Xfinity for a little bit. Guys, there were good battles throughout the race, but not really much crashing-wise. We only had one yellow for incident, and I could not tell you for the life of me how that happened or who wrecked. It was really just who could dethrone the 7 car, because Justin Allgaier had the car to beat. I mean, that first stage, he broke out to an 8-second lead, and I was so disappointed because I knew that the stage yellow was coming out, and that lead would dissipate, and his crew lost him 6 spots on pit road, and it's like, how does that happen? You had an 8-second lead, and then yellow comes out, and then boom, you just lose it all. So Eric Almirola dominated the second stage. Allgaier did get back up to second, but Connor Zilisch was there in a good spot in third. But then under that pit stop, he had a speeding penalty. Too fast exiting pit road for Connor Zilisch, so that derailed his race for the most part. That's weird seeing this yellow happen. Oh yeah. This yellow did happen on lap 1. So it was Parker Retzlaff and William Sawalich. Sorry. Parker Retzlaff, William Sawalich, they wrecked. Sawalich, I think, was done. Yeah, he didn't even make it a lap, and his day was ruined. So then we get to crunch time. So it wasn't on that final pit stop. Well, it wasn't on the pit stop after stage 2 for Zilisch. It was the final pit stop during the third stage where he got a speeding penalty, and that seemed like it was going to be it for him. Seemed like Zilisch went from possibly winning to just fighting for whatever. And then Justin Allgaier took over and led the last 48 laps en route to his first win of the season. We've had 5 different winners in the Xfinity Series? Yeah. 5 races, 5 different winners in the Xfinity Series. Justin Allgaier was able to hold off Eric Almirola. He was charging in the end, but every time Almirola went to go around him, he would just either mess up or Allgaier would just come through and dial in and pull off a few tenths to get away from him. It was very odd, but the 7 was able to hold on and win. He led 102 of the 200 laps, so over half the race, very deserving. Almirola led 51. Those were the 2 cars to beat, so they finished 1-2. Jesse Love came through with 3rd. RCR, great day for them. Austin Hill finished 4th. Top 5 for both of those guys. Sam Mayer 5th as well. P6, Brandon Jones. P7, Ryan Sieg, a solid race for him. Harrison Burton 8th. Connor Zilisch finished 9th after having to battle through so much adversity on that last stage with that speeding penalty. Sheldon Creed finished 10th. And props to Kyle Sieg, his best finish in the Xfinity Series. He finished 11th at Las Vegas. Unreal. I mean, he started 21st. He was about 12th to 14th for a good portion of the race. Had a top 10 run, and then Sheldon Creed passed him late, so he didn't get that, but he got 11th. I mean, that's a solid finish for Kyle Sieg. Great finish for the Sieg boys. 7th and 11th. Great job there. Daniel Dye coming through with a P12, P13 for Eckes, 14th for Sammy Smith. Dean Thompson finished 15th. DeBenedetto had some strong runs as well, finished 16th. Carson Quaffle, he also spent on pit road, or no, something happened to him where he ran out of fuel. That's what it was. My God, I mean, it's something new with this one car. It seems like every week there's either a speeding penalty, a crew violation, or a flat tire. This week it's running out of fuel. Now the reason that he finished so far back is because during the last cycle of pit stops, Jeb Burton's fuel can dropped, and for some reason it dragged underneath the one car, and that caught everybody off guard. So they had to back out a little bit, and when they did that, they were short about 8 laps on fuel. So about 9 to go, he came in, topped it off, finished 17th. He was running inside the top 10. Just a shame. I mean, something's got to give for this one team. They're so fast every week, and something seems to go wrong for them during the race. I don't know what it is, but better days are ahead. Looking through other notables, Taylor Gray had a speeding penalty as well. He had a top 5 car, but finished back in 19th. Parker Retzlaff rallied through for a 21st place finish. He only spun out, made minor contact with the wall, so he was able to continue. Jeb Byrne 23rd after the violation penalty pit road. Looking through other notables, Josh Williams finished 29th, but he was still battling whatever sickness he was battling. And then after stage 1, they swapped him out with Ty Dillon, so Ty Dillon finished the race for him. Cars that did not finish were Austin Green, Mason Massey, and William Sawalich. The truck race was fun, but also rainy at the same time. There was a mist that just would not leave, and showers would pop up. So, surprisingly enough, they weren't calling for rain, but the rain happened during the truck race. Just boom, like a shower appeared out of nowhere, and it was like, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, that race went on longer than it should have been because of that damn rain, and I'm so frustrated from it. But I thought it was the beginning of a good weekend for me because Corey Heim won the truck race at Las Vegas. Surprisingly enough, he was the truck to beat. He just led the most laps with 42. He was in a good spot at the end, and he never looked back. He wins. Grant Enfinger 2nd, Tanner Gray 3rd, Ty Majeski 4th, Lane Riggs 5th. Stuart Friesen comes home in P6, Rajah Caruth P7, P8 for Chandler Smith, P9 for Matt Crafton, another top 10 for him. Tyler Ankrum in the opening stage seemed like he was the car to beat, or truck to beat, I should say, and he was beaten by 9 other guys, so he finished 10th. Looking at other notables here, Justin Haley was in this race. He finished 11th. Cannon Honeycutt had some issues, but managed to finish 12th. I'm looking through. Anyone else stand out? Not really. Tony Browninger 21st, so not too bad. That's about it. There really wasn't much to happen. I mean, Jack Wood wrecked out, so shocker there. And then Steven Malozzi had a drivetrain issue about 17 laps in. So, yeah, I mean, that was about it. Nothing really happened other than the rain was just so bad. It was so terrible. We had a lot of lead changes though. I mean, just Haley led laps, Tyler Ankrum, Corey Day, he raced. Jack Wood led laps too. Jake Garcia, Spencer Boyd. Mentioned Ben Rhodes. Ankrum led the second most with 39. Chandler Smith led a lap. Friesen, Lane Riggs, Ty Majeski led in double-digit figures. Yeah, 21 lead changes. So, interesting truck race. We were able to get it done. It took, where's the hour 52 minutes? That's BS. It felt like 3 hours. That took way too long. I don't think that counts the red flags for rain. So, make of that what you will. But that was the weekend in a nutshell. It was hectic. It was chaotic. There was a lot of racing if you enjoyed F1 and NASCAR. So, yeah. A lot of interesting things to look at next week in Homestead. All 3 series return again. I think IndyCar is racing at the Thermal, so I don't know how that's going to go. I doubt we'll talk about that because I think the Thermal is just a load of BS. I miss Auto Club. That's where everyone should be racing at, but no. NASCAR sold their soul in South California, so now we got a bunch of warehouses surrounding a broken down Auto Club that remains, which will eventually be torn down because I don't see them making the short track anymore. So there's that. We're going to Homestead. Tyler Reddick won last year with a last lap pass on the outside lane, so should be fun there. It's a drivers only broadcast for the truck race. Xfinity, they always put on a great show. I think that's where we see Carson Quaffle pull through and get a top 5 finish. Could also be a good day for Connor Zilic. I think he might be the favorite to win. That's also their first Dash for Cash race as well in the Xfinity Series. So the drivers in that... Where is it? Xfinity, come over here. So it's Justin Allgaier. Almirola's not racing next week, so sigh of relief for JRM. So the Dash for Cash drivers are Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Austin Hill, Sam Mayer. Should be fun. Trucks, Corey Heim is the one to beat always. That's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm really surprised to see people listen to me rambling, because that's pretty much what I do on this podcast. But I appreciate the support that you guys have been giving me, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's through Spotify or wherever else you listen to these podcasts from. But signing off. I'll see you next week at Homestead, where we talk about what happens in the NASCAR Cup Series, the trucks, the Xfinity, and maybe a little bit of IndyCar if that's any sort of excitement there. But until then, see you guys next week.